performance of a circus, which is one of the very famous circuses in the world, which I think actually was two circuses that joined together, actually. The Ringling Bros Circus and the Barnum and Bailey Circus. So circuses kind of aren't that popular anymore. And so this is talking about the last performance that this circus kind of did when they decided that they weren't going to continue traveling around the world, and they were just going to finish the circus business. They're not going to do it anymore. Okay, so let's maybe start reading, and I'm going to send some messages to Anna and see if she can connect. Looks like she might be having some trouble connecting. April, would you like to read first today?
Gladly, thank you. Sanctuary of Joy. Performers and crowds bid farewell to Ringling Bros Circus. Brothers, maybe? Okay, I have to say brothers. The last performance of the Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus spurs its ringmaster to reflect on the bedrock of American pop culture after 146 years. The clowns and acrobats delighted the crowds. The trapeze artists, tightrope walkers, and daredevil riders astonished them. For one more night, the controlled chaos of the Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus held an arena full of spectators in its thrall. The 146-year-old company, known far and wide as the greatest show on earth, staged its final performance on Sunday night before a sold-out audience at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in the suburbs of New York City, marking the end of an American tradition older than Coca-Cola and Major League Baseball.
Thank you. April, you sound like your voice is a little bit croaky today. Are you a little bit sick today?
Actually not. Is it really croaky? Yeah?
Yeah, you sound a little bit, your voice sounds a little bit different today. Maybe it's just my impression. No, sorry, I didn't mean to, to mean anything by that. I hope you're feeling okay. Okay, are there any questions or comments in this section? That might be it, April. Maybe it's distorting your voice a little bit. Okay.
But the Bros, is it Bros or brothers, I have to say?
You could say both, but I guess we probably say brothers when we're speaking it. Are there any questions about the vocabulary in this section, or the rest of it's okay? Okay, spurs. Does anyone know what it means here by spurs? No? Okay, Spurs here. This was in the... Marco, which sentence was it in? Right at the start. Okay. Spurs here is like when you motivate someone to do something or you encourage someone to do something. So here it's saying here that this the last performance is kind of making him reflect on the circus and the effect that it's had on pop culture. Colosseum is written different here. I don't know why. It might be because it's the name of the venue instead of the actual Colosseum. So maybe that's why they've spelt it differently as well. Any other questions in this section? Okay, let's keep reading then. Shiny, would you like to read?
Yes, before that, I want to ask, Daredevil riders, what do they do?
The Daredevil Rider. Good question. Does anyone know what a Daredevil rider is? Has anyone been to the circus and seen them? They are very brave, yes, that's why they're daredevil. They're usually the people who ride in the motorcycle. You might have seen them. And they kind of go inside like a giant ball. And they ride round and round in this ball. And maybe there's something in the middle that's dangerous, like flames or something like this. Or they might jump through burning hoops, or they might ride their bike in dangerous kinds of situations. Yeah, exactly, Shiny, like that.
Thank you, incredible. Uh, when the smoke had cleared on the old hound's the
Finale.
finale, thank you. The remaster, Jonathan Lee Iverson, addressed the crowd encircled by the performers in full costume on the arena floor. Some of them snapped selfies, others shared tearful embraces. You mean the circle isn't antiquated? He yelled as the crowd delivered a standing ovation. You mean you love the circus? He continued as the applause died down. It has been the whole honor of my life to be the voice of these tremendous artists. We hope the memories we've made together will last you a lifetime. Thank you. Keep the circus alive inside you.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a look at this section here. Are there any questions or comments about this part? Finale. What do they mean here by finale? Yes, exactly. It's the last appearance or the last performance, really, in a lot of performances. So, if you, for example, when you have a musical show where there's lots of different musical acts, the finale is like the final act, the last act, or the last performance that they make that night. Any other questions in this section? All hands. Why all hands in this part? Good question. Why do you think this is all hands? What does all hands actually mean when you use it in other situations? No? Okay, all hands usually means that everybody's involved in something. We usually use it like all hands on deck because it comes from boats when you needed everybody to be working all together to be able to do something on the ship. So when you say all hands, you mean that everybody who's involved in the organisation or everybody who's involved in the group is there. So I think they mean that this finale, they made sure that everybody was involved, that everyone took part in it, because obviously it was the last chance that they were going to get to perform. Does that make sense? April?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I was always thinking that all hands on deck is written like that. All hands. Oh, can you still hear me? Skype is
I can still hear you,
playing up
yes.
again. Oh, okay. It's a lag. Okay. I thought that it was like that. All hands. Because
You thought there was lots of chickens running around.
yeah. I thought that they said chicken to the sailors. Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure the chickens would be so helpful. Okay, are there any other questions in this part? Our poor new people, they're not having very much luck with their connections, I think. Sarah's disappeared again, and I think Anna hasn't been able to connect at all. Okay, any other questions about this part, or would you like to continue reading? Yeah, antiquated, exactly. It means something not quite obsolete, but something very old-fashioned, something that's not really popular or it's not really done anymore. So not quite obsolete, but getting very close to obsolete. Exactly, yes. He was trying to say that it wasn't modern and it wasn't done, and there was still room in today's world for the circus. Okay, well, let's keep reading. Marco, you said you're just listening today, right? So, April, I think we're back to you again. Would you like to read some more?
Okay. Yeah. He then invited onto the floor a mass of more than 300 behind-the-scenes workers and family members, among them floor and animal crews, cooks and veterinarians, light and sound workers, nursery and school staff, and spiritual counselors that made up this one-of-a-kind itinerant family and town without a zip code. After a traditional end of tour performance of Auld Lang Syne, the world's most famous circus, started in 1871 as P.T. Barnum's Grand Traveling Museum Menagerie, Caravan and Hippodrome, and saved from oblivion by the Felt family in 1967, was consigned to the history books.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, questions, comments here? Oh, spiritual counselors. Sorry, Marco, I missed that. What do you think they mean by spiritual counselors here? What kind of people do you think they'd be talking about? Yeah, I think considering it's a circus, it's probably a mix of both. So it's probably people like priests or nuns or someone like that, but it probably involves some fortune tellers or maybe astrologers or other things like that as well. I think that's probably why they've used the term spiritual counselors and not kind of made it more specific to a certain religion or a certain kind of belief system. Any other questions in this part? Okay, itinerant. What does itinerant mean? Exactly, yes, traveling. It means that it doesn't have one fixed place that it goes to, that it travels around to different places. There's not just one fixed address. Anna, can you hear us? I think you finally joined us. Yay, welcome. Don't forget to turn your microphone off when you're not talking, okay? We can hear a little bit of noise there now. But welcome. Okay, any other questions in this section? Ah, oblivion. What does oblivion mean? Yeah, oblivion isn't quite just something that you forgot. It's more about you being unaware of what's happening, or you're kind of unconscious, really. So when they say saved from oblivion, it means saved from disappearing, really, and not being remembered or not being known by anyone. Shiny, this phrase, spiritual counselors, I don't think we use it so often. It's not that much of a popular phrase to use. We probably use it more when you're talking about maybe not so much set religions, but other kinds of spiritual beliefs that don't really have a name, maybe for the people who practice them, or the leaders of these kinds of spiritual practices. Okay, any other questions in this section before we keep reading? Anna, you can just click on the little microphone icon in Skype and it will mute your microphone for you. Okay, I think it's okay now. Okay, let's keep reading. Sarah, would you like to read today, or are you just listening? Sarah, can you hear us? Would you like to read today, or are you just listening? Okay, I think she must still have some problems with her sound. Nadia, would you like to read?
Okay. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Do you know where we're up
Okay.
to?
Yes, Ringling, right? From Ringling Bros.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Ringling Bros announced in January that it was closing shop for good, attributing the decision to an explosion in entertainment alternatives for children's eyeballs, the cultural shift in public tastes, and a dramatic decline in ticket sales after the company finally bowed to pressure from animal rights activists and retired the last of its 40 performing elephants last year. Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Everson, the show's gregarious MC and a New York City native whose show business career started with the Boys Choir of Harlem, was 9 years old when he first saw the circus at Madison Square Garden. He describes the circus as a sanctuary of joy and celebration of inclusiveness, bringing together people from a wide range of backgrounds and lifestyles.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a look at this
Welcome.
part here. Questions, comments? This phrase here, closing shop for good. Does anyone know what they mean when they say closing shop for good? Finished, yes. When we say that something is for good, what we mean is that it's forever. Okay, so when they talk about closing shop, it means finishing when usually shops close at the end of the day, when they finish the day. So if they're closing shop for good, it means that they're closing forever, that they're finishing, that they won't be opening or they won't be doing it again another day. Yeah, we did. I think we talked about for good once before. I don't remember which article it was, but I do remember we've spoken about for good, something happening for good. Any other questions in this part? The gregarious MC. Okay, I have a feeling people might know what this MC is, but it's written a different way than normal. Yeah, exactly. When it's written in letters, I think, instead of written out like EMCEE, I think it's a lot easier. But just in case, does everybody know what an MC is then when we write it the other way? Yes, everyone's heard of it before? No? Exactly. It's the master of ceremonies, the person who's doing all the announcing about what's happening and what's going to happen next and who's performing or what's going to happen, basically. So what does gregarious mean? If you think about one of these people and how they usually act, their kind of personality, what would you usually say about these kind of people? They're usually very friendly, a showman. What else? Sociable. Exactly. And this is what gregarious means. So someone who's gregarious is someone who's very sociable, very outgoing, very friendly, very warm. They like being around people and being sociable. So you all knew what it meant. You just didn't know what that word was. Any other questions in this part? No, the rest is okay. The pronunciation. Choir. It's very strange, but it's pronounced like choir. Would anyone like to try? Go ahead, Nadia.
Okay, choir.
Yes, excellent.
Okay.
Anyone else? April, you start singing first. We'll join in.
Yeah, it's verse late. Let's the choir sing. Hallelujah.
Shiny?
It's not about the pronunciation, but I think I agree with this paraphrase that he say they bring together people from a wide range. Uh, 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 but from the modern days point of view of modern day, I mean they showed Elephant Man, where two has people in the circus. I mean they the how to say, those people who were showing in front of people, they were not ashamed of it. I mean, instead that they was given a chance to work. But in modern day, we are not allowed to do this because we'll say we abuse them, we use them, we are taking advantage of them, we use them. I mean, at least they got a chance. They feel, because I read the book, the Elephant Man. Uh, I was surprised that he said he was great that he can show in front of people. He feels like he got something to do. He entertained people. Is that strange? I mean, I quite agree with. Okay.
No, I know, I understand what you're saying. It was like a way for him to maybe celebrate the ways that he was different from other people instead of trying to pretend he was like everybody else. He being in the circus was a good way for him to celebrate his differences maybe and not try to hide them or not be not try to just fit in with everyone else. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and it was probably one of the first opportunities for people who had differences like this maybe to work and to be involved in something where they could show off these differences instead of maybe trying to hide them like they might have had to do in that time. So I know what you're saying there, definitely. Okay, any other questions before we keep reading? Okay, let's keep reading then. Luca, would you like to read?
Yes, we are the bedrock of American pop culture. The 41-year-old told The Guardian this week, "We have influenced a tremendous amount in society. We have added We have added to the vernacular. Hold your horses, throw your hat in the ring, the show must go on. Jumbo. That's all us. Everybody is taken from Ringling Bros and Barnum e Bailey whether they want to admit it or not. We are kind of like the Little Richard of the entirety of the entertainment industry. People have taken, but they don't want to admit it. More than anything, he says, Iverson will miss the opportunity to work with his family every single day. His wife, Priscilla, was the production manager of the show, and his son and daughter, 12-year-old Matthew and 8-year-old Lila, were both performers.
Thank you. Okay, let's have a look at this part here. Questions, comments? Vernacular. What does vernacular mean? I think we may have spoken about this before. Does anyone remember? Exactly, yes. Vernacular is about speech, about the kind of vocabulary you use, especially about the specific kind of vocabulary that a group of people use. Yeah, you could think about it as being like the slang as well. What about bedrock? If you're the bedrock, yeah, it kind of is. You could think about it like the old guard as well. If you think the bedrock, it's like the base or the foundation of something. Exactly, the basis. So if you're the bedrock of pop culture, it means you're the base. You're from what everything else started from, really. These expressions that they say here that came from the circus as well: hold your horses, throw your hat in the ring, the show must go on, jumbo. Does everyone understand what all of these phrases mean? Okay, so let's maybe go through these then. Hold your horses. If somebody says to you, whoa, hold your horses, what do they mean? What are they telling you to do? Yes, excellent. They're telling you to slow down, to wait, not to hurry or to stop and wait for someone to do it. You don't actually have any physical horses that you have to hold. It's just telling you not to rush off and do something, to wait a little bit, and just to wait for a minute, to stop for a second. Okay. What about throw your hat in the ring? If somebody tells you, you should throw your hat in the ring, what are they telling you to do? Not that kind of ring. It's not quite so beautiful. They're actually talking about the circus ring. Give up? No guesses? Ah, when someone tells you to throw your hat in the ring, they're telling you to like nominate yourself for something, or to have a go at doing something. So if you put your hat in the ring, it means you're volunteering to do something. You'll say, yes, okay, I'll try, or I'll give it a go. They use it a lot when they're talking about maybe elections for something as well. So they're saying, there's only two people, who have nominated themselves. You should throw your hat in the ring as well. It's like you give other people an opportunity to elect you or to choose you for that position. Does that make sense? Okay, the next one. The show must go on. What does this one mean? Exactly. This one's kind of the opposite of hold your horses. Don't stop, don't go up, continue. Don't let this hold you back or let this stop you. You have to keep going. We usually use it when something difficult has happened and they're saying, okay, you can't let this difficulty stop you. You have to keep going. And the last one, jumbo. What's jumbo? Yeah, it just means large, very big, huge. Because we talk about like a jumbo elephant, or I think jumbo was actually the name of an elephant as well, a famous elephant in a book. So when we talk about something being jumbo, we're usually talking about the size of it, very big size. And that's why you'll see sometimes with drinks, for example, they'll have maybe small, medium, large, and jumbo. So jumbo is kind of a bigger size even than large. Any other questions in this part? Exactly, with popcorn in the cinema, actually, they use this a lot, the jumbo popcorn. Or the jumbo combo as well, they use a lot. Combo is for combination. So when they talk about the jumbo combo, it means a combination of a very big drink, and if you're in the cinema, it would be a very big drink and a very big popcorn. So when the combo just means a combination of things, where you get like a package of things together. The elephant's name is Dumbo, not Jumbo. I was confused. But yes, that's the elephant that I was thinking of. I just got its name wrong. Okay, let's keep reading. Shiny, would you like to read again?
Yes, my whole family gets a check, he quipped. I tell my children you'll never have a day without me in your life. That's highly unusual, especially for performing artists. The average performing artist, I don't care how successful they are, they were away from their family a lot. I've had the privilege of being with them every day since they were born. Davis Vassallo, the show's most prominent clown, was born into an Italian circus family and began performing professionally at 7. By 17, he was performing a solo act in circuses in the UK, now Norway, Germany, and Russia, and he spent nearly 2 decades in shows across 2 continents before he was spotted by reigning talent scouts.
Thank you. Let's have a look at this section. Questions, comments? Quipped. Quipped. What does quipped mean? It's a little bit like added, but it's kind of about adding like a little comment. Usually something that's a little bit clever or a little bit funny. So it's kind of like it's almost like making a joke, but not quite making a joke. So he's kind of trying to be a little bit funny, by saying that his whole family gets a check, even his children get a check. Exactly, yeah, making a funny note of something. That they get a check. Yeah, they mean that everybody in his family gets paid, basically. That each of them are receiving a salary from working in the circus. So when he says gets a check, he's talking about a paycheck. Any other questions in this part? Or comments? Yes, Nadia, you're right, there is. In British English, we tend to write check like this with QUE instead of with CK. So in British English, we tend to use CK more like when we check something, like when we see if something's correct or not. And we use the version with the QUE when we're talking about a paycheck or a bank check or something like that. Okay, any other questions in this part before we keep reading? Okay, Nadia, would you like to read again?
Okay. From Davis or We do things.
We do things.
Okay. We do things in circus that normal people would never even think about because we create, we invent, always to surprise and always to give them never anywhere else. Said Vassallo, 37, whose daughter also participated in Sunday's show as a fifth generation performer. Now everything what the people see is television, but everything that is on television is computer, is graphic, is fake. What we do, maybe it looks a bit less cooler and fine on the television, but what we are doing is real and we are really risking our life. I think the people realize that when they come to see us.
Thank you. Okay. Any
Welcome.
questions? Any questions or comments about this part? Fifth generation. Can anyone explain fifth generation? Yes, Marco, you have the right idea. So what they mean is that there's 5 different generations of this same family who have performed in the circus or in this circus. That means that I think it was a daughter, right? So we have the daughter, the father, and then we have 3 other generations. So his father, hang on, so it would be the daughter, the father, her grandfather, her great-grandfather, and her great-great-grandfather. Of course, it might have been her grandmother as well, grandmother or great-great-grandmother or something like that. But just to make it a little bit easier, we'll say it's a great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather. It's a lot of people when you think their family has a very big connection to the circus when you think of it like that. No, we don't in English. After grandfather, okay, so we have, let's do it for grandfather, but it's the same for grandmother as well, okay? So after grandfather, if you go back a little bit more, you go great-grandfather, and then you just keep adding greats basically on the end of it. So then you have your great-great-grandfather, and you can just keep adding greats on the start of it, at the beginning of the word to go back as many generations as you need. This is easier, Marco. You've got less words to remember. Any other questions in this part? April?
I don't understand why he said what we do. Maybe it looks a bit less cooler than the doing flying in the television, because I think if you see the circus in reality, it is more cooler than watching it on television, I think.
Yeah, maybe it's different for different people though. Maybe they're talking more about children who are more used to seeing, yeah, exactly, these special effects and very which make flying look really easy and really realistic. So when they see it a little bit closer and they see someone in real life flying, but they see the cords and they see the harnesses and the other things that they need so they can actually fly, they might not think it's as cool as just someone flying on television with all the special effects. Okay, let's read a little bit more. Luca, would you like to read again?
Yes. Alexander Lacey, a big cat trainer and present from the UK, is the owner of the 8 tigers, 6 lions, and 1 leopard who performed on Sunday night. He acknowledged that sadness of the final show, but looked forward to returning to Europe later this year to tour with a few different circuses. America is such a huge country, we have managed to probably get to see more of America than most Americans have. Lacey said in a broad Nottingham accent. The biggest difference about working at Wrigley's to anywhere else, which I noticed at the first performance that I ever did, was the size of the crowds and the size of the arenas that we played. The first ever arena was in St. Petersburg. We had 16,000 people inside. To you, 16 isn't a lot, because this is what you have grown up with.
Thank you. Okay, questions, comments? Yes, he is. Well spotted. Marco, I was a little confused about that as well. For me, since St. Petersburg is just in Russia, I don't know of a St. Petersburg in the US, but I think there must be a St. Petersburg in the US as well. There's a lot of cities like this that maybe have the same name as cities in other towns as well. As cities in other countries. And yes, there is a St. Petersburg in America as well, in Florida. So I think they're probably talking about the town in Florida instead of the town in Russia, because they are talking about seeing a lot of the US and not seeing a lot of the world. Okay, let's see if we can read a little bit more. I think everybody now has read twice, so would anybody really like to read again? Do I have a volunteer, maybe? Okay, April, go ahead.
The end of the circus was hailed as a victory by animal rights activists, including the many who lined the arena's main entrance on Sunday in protest. Lacey addressed the thorny issue during Saturday's performance with a direct plea to the crowd. It's so important that you carry on supporting all those people that do dedicate their lives to these animals. Support good, well-run circuses. Support good, well-run zoos. Support good, well-run public parks that look after these animals. He added, people are not really concerned with wildlife until they feel it and see it and enjoy it and love it as much as I do, until they've seen it with their own eyes.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments about this part? A thorny issue. What is a thorny issue? Yeah, exactly. A difficult problem or a complicated issue or a difficult kind of issue. So if you think of a thorn is like the spiky part that you have on some flowers, like roses. So if an issue is thorny, it means that it's difficult to deal with. There's a lot of difficulties involved with this issue. And a plea. What's a plea? Yeah, it's like a request. So it is a speech, but it's a certain type of speech. It's usually a request for something that's very emotional or that's very urgent in some kind of way. So it's when you're really emotionally asking someone to do something. Any other questions in this part? Hailed. What does it mean, hailed? Hailed as a victory. Yeah, exactly. Welcomed, declared, greeted, acclaimed, those kinds of things. So they were kind of cheering, really, at the end of the circus. For them, it was a good thing that the circus was finishing. You can think about it a little bit like celebrating as well. Okay, I think we might have time to read maybe. Marco, you're thinking about hall with a U instead of an I. Hail is also the name for like the little balls of ice that fall from the sky. But I think you're thinking of hall. Yes, I think we spoke about that last week or last week or the week before when we were talking about creating the gardens on the roof and hauling things to the roof. Okay, I think we have time to read one more section from the article. Do I have another volunteer to read? Shiny, would you like to read again?
Yes. Lacey, is that right? And Lacey addressed the
But the
no,
activists.
he aided, but the activists were outnumbered by those lamenting the end of an American tradition, some of whom traveled from as far as Florida, Michigan, and California to watch the farewell show in person. The legacy of winning bros only begins with those in the spotlight. Ruth Ross Cheddak, who now Ruth, thank you, who now works as a special events manager on the public relations team, was the children's treater, major mayor, mayor, mayor at Stephen F.
This one's major.
Major. Thank you. Major at Stephen F. Austin University in the nearly 1970s before opting to enroll in Reading, Bruce and Barnum and Bailey Crown College. I continue. I didn't think I'd get a contract, and I didn't. Then they called me doctor, and I was like, I'll do this for a year. Chedak recalled 43 years with the longest running hit in show business. Not bad for a little girl from Texas. It's been awesome. It's been just awesome.
Thank you, Shiny. But what's the name of the city from Texas? I didn't catch it. I think it's Cuero, maybe. Okay. Any questions in this section here? No, this part's okay? Okay. Well, what we might do is we might stop here with the article. If you want, you can finish reading the rest of the article. It's just talking about what some of the people doing, what some of the people who are currently in the circus, what they're going to do afterwards, and what their plans are. Nadia, no problem. Let's talk about lamenting quickly. What does lamenting mean? Yeah, exactly. It's about being sad and about expressing your sadness in some kind of way. So showing that you're disappointed or you're sad about something. Okay, and in the session on Thursday, let's talk more about this. So let's talk about more about the circus. Maybe if you've been to the circus before, you can tell us about the kind of acts they had or what you remember from it. And we can talk about in general some of these issues that they mentioned as well. Like Shiny mentioned, it was a good place for some people to find jobs. And also about the animal side of it as well, about having a lot of animals in the circus and what some of the activists and some of the protests were about this as well. So we'll talk about all this on Thursday, okay? But if you can't make it on Thursday, I'll put the topic in the forum as well, so that you can always leave some notes or some ideas or some thoughts there too, okay? But thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the topic today, and hopefully talk to you all later in the week. Don't forget to hit the red button to hang up the call, okay? Bye, everyone.